सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। दिवि भूमौ तथाकाशे बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः यो विभात्यवभासात्मा तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। We come to the 14th chapter, and that's what is Gaadi Upakhyanam. The very important aspect of this Gaadi Upakhyanam is the idea of Maya, or what is called as illusion. Very interesting thing that illusion is like the way that we have a dream. And within the dream that we can also have a dream like that, it can be ad infinitum. It can continuously going on. But then that dream, whatever that is there, is only dream when only you come out of that dream. Even if it is within the dream, you have a dream, and when you come out of that dream within the dream, only when you come out of it you realize that it was a dream, but otherwise there it is a reality. But then the next dream is again the reality, as long as that you are in the dream, until you come out of that dream. When we look at this way, that don't you see that there is a similarity between whatever these dreams that we were talking about and the world that is there now we are in. We also, like the way that we entered the dream sometime and we came out of the dream sometime, what we call it as dream. But here also in this world that we have entered sometime and we come out of this after some time, and then in the meantime that we make this journey. So a very parallel is there, accepting that there is a time factor. Time factor is that there I might have been in the dream for a few hours, but here few years that we are in this dream. But other than that, there is no difference. And this is what we need to recognize that. And what is that which creates the dream that is there in our so-called the dream state is what is mind which has created that dream. So naturally within the dream, another dream has to be created again. It's a mind which has to be created. And that we can see that in every dream state that there is always mind. And mind has a capacity to create a dream. Like for example, in the dream, we have the mind to show that in the dream that we have its own dream mind. It's not the wakeful supposed to be the mind in the wakeful state, but in the dream itself that we have a mind. And because of that dream mind, that we have fear, we have anxiety, we have problems, all those things are there. The tiger is there, it frightens us there in the dream state. After all, the dream is created by you, but in spite of it, you have the fear. And that fear is real. It's not just only the dream state, but fear is real in the sense that whenever in the dream that you have a tiger and then you are afraid, then you see that your heart palpitations goes up in this life, here. So that means to say there is something change happening within you. And there also the moment that you see wonderful food in the dream state, we start feeling hungry here. So it means that I start feeling all kinds of experiences compared to the dream state. The simple thing is that therefore, just like the experiences are of the mind, the same way the dream is also an experience of the mind. Again, if you have a dream inside the dream, even that is also created by the mind. So therefore, when you look at it, there are several stages mind can exist. one very subtle level at the net gross level. Then we have this in the wakeful state that we have a mind here. And this mind, which is continuing at all these levels, what Vedanta says is that mind is there all pervasive when it comes out of this. Like the way that there's various objects that I have created within my mind. A tiger is there, I'm walking in the forest, and then all the trees are there, every detail is there, the stones are there, everything is going on. But at the same time that I created a tiger, the tiger is chasing me, and then I run and catch a branch of the tree, and I'm saved. And the tiger could not catch me, standing down below, looking at me desperately. But then I find a cobra coming closer to me. So now I'm afraid whether I should get down and allow tiger to take care of me, or should I take away that cobra, fight with the cobra, what we need to do. See, that means to say your mind has now all the alternatives to think and all that, what best can be done. Out of all those things, one suggestion comes that you jump onto the other branch, so that neither the tiger will catch you nor the cobra will disturb you. You do not disturb the cobra. Cobra didn't even need to notice you. Then you jump into the other branch, and then you are sitting comfortably there. So far, so good. But then there also that you see that the branch is slowly, because of your weight, breaking. And branch is breaking, and when you look down, and then when you look down, you see that there is a big valley. How is that valley has come? I had not seen earlier, but then yes, it's available now, and you will fall into the valley. Should I fall into the valley, or should I fight with the cobra, or jump on the other side and fight the tiger? Vedanta says, don't do any of those things, wake up. That means those things, do not take them so seriously. They are there passing references, unless until it is to the last minute, then you don't have to take them, get involved into that. Be a sakshi, be a witness. This is what is the way that Vedanta says. But all those things got eliminated. Now this way, that when there was a dream mind, and now there is a wakeful mind that we have, and through this wakeful mind that we create that dream, and it's again the mind which is creating the dream, mind is interacting with that whole thing. The same way that there is what is called as the mind stuff, which is all those minds put together at the Brahmic level, the cosmic level, and it is within that particular mind stuff that whole thing is created. Just like that you create the whole world with your mind, the whole world is created with the mind that's there in the world of, in the cosmic mind that is there. And your mind, cosmic mind are the same thing, only thing is you have a small little part of it, and the cosmic mind is a combination of all such parts of it that is there. Now, another simple thing that you can come across is that, like the way that our mind, and we created this particular forest, and then we created the tiger. It's all we created, our mind only created. In spite of it, it was like a surprise for us. It was like a surprise for us, it suddenly happened. I'm shocked about it. So all those things are something which is coming from within me. The same way that this whole world is also nothing but full of surprises. What do you mean by surprise? The idea of surprise is that what you did not expect suddenly happening. When it said that surprise, which he uses the word called as the Vaichitriam, that means Vichitra. It is very surprising, and he translates it as the perception of a variety, and it's something which is absolutely what is meant by surprise is that I have not, in any stretch of imagination, I have not had that idea, but suddenly it happens. No stretch of imagination I was thinking that tiger should appear in front of me in the forest while I was taking a simple stroll. Suddenly tiger comes up. That sudden coming up tiger is basically, it is Vaichitram. It is basically a surprise that you are into. Vismaya. And that's what is the creation. Creation, a constant moment of Vismaya. Now here, that is what we can see, that this moment, we know what is this moment, but next moment is always a wonder for us. We are always traveling into something which is unknown. When we say traveling into the unknown and something new that we have seen, it does not mean that we are violating any nature's laws or we are creating any miracle there. Absolutely, there is no miracle at all. There is nothing like you create out of rule. Once it is there in the form of a dream, it has to follow its own rules, its own laws. Same way, this world may be a dream, as you said, for the mind stuff that is there, and then your mind is also part of that mind. So therefore, this world is also like a dream in your mind as much as it is in the consciousness, the world outside. But in spite of the fact that this is supposed to be the dream, swapna, but in spite of it, you follow the rules, you follow the laws. Only one thing that what you do is that every surprise, accordingly that you take steps, you move forward. But then moving forward is important. Don't get stuck with that. Ups and downs, loss and failure, birth and death. These are all part of this game, of this particular thing. So continue to play the game with the sense of Vismaya. So this is what is the message that Vasistha gives to Rama in a larger sense, because Rama is now embarking upon a huge project after this particular discussion that is over. Vasistha, by these discussions, prepares Rama for the next big activity that's going to come, and that's what is. There are two things that Ramayana talks about it. One way is that uphold the human dignity. You know why it is important is that Ravana, when he prayed to Shiva appeared to him and said that Ravana said, I should not die. Shiva said that's not possible. Everybody is born, has to die, death has to come. Only thing is that you can ask something which is related to that or something around that. It's also acceptable. Then he wanted to be too smart and intelligent, and also that he had all past experiences of Danavas in front of him. Therefore, he says that, no devatas can kill me, no gods can kill me, no demons can kill me, nobody can be. I cannot be killed or touched by any of these people. Nobody can invade on me. So like that, Ravana asks all those things. And there, in all these God words, Yaksha, Kinnara, Kim Purusha, etc., all those things, that whatever the name that are there, give me a boon so that I will not be killed by all of them. But then, Tathastu, that's what Shiva says. And after that, but you have forgotten to mention two things. And what is that? Nara and Vanara, the man and the monkey. Immediately he laughs. He says that I am somebody who is a conqueror of the whole world, conqueror of the other three worlds and all those things. And then gods and goddesses, they listen to me. Sun rises, taking my permission. When all these things are there, you mean to say that I should protect myself against man? After all, a man? So that means basically in Ravana's side, man was looked down upon. So he need to really maintain the dignity of the human being. That's why Rama is born as an ordinary human being, ordinary king, following ordinary rules of law. Dharma Dharma applies to him as much as it applies to anybody else. That's why Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. That means to say his personification is manifestation of Dharma itself. When it said manifestation of Dharma itself, Rama, not only he takes care of his own Dharma, but to see that Dharma in everybody's case it is maintained. Therefore it is Dharma Vigrahavan. It is Dharma itself is Vigrahavan. Not only that, for all the species that are there, he respects the Dharma of that. Like for example, ocean's Dharma that he respects, mountain Dharma he respects, Aushadhi Dharma he respects. So like that you can see that Rama At every point of time, he was basically respecting the dharma itself. So therefore, Vigrahavan dharma. He did not only violate, but whoever came in his way, in contact with them, he reminded their dharmas and maintained the dharmas to take care of it. Umpteen number of such occasions are there in Rama's life to show that how Rama is entitled to be called as Vigrahavan Dharma. So this was one purpose of Rama, and the second purpose is to eliminate the demons and to uphold the women's dignity. And that's what Ravan took away Sita, and Rama rescued her from Ravan's place, and Ravan had been eliminated just to protect the dignity of the women. So that's why Rama's two important principles that are there. One is protecting the human's dignity, and second thing is particularly that dharma is established by taking care of whatever the evils that are there to be eliminated. Series of them, he has killed all those vanaras, all those danavas, and then re-established dharma. So therefore, Rama is something who is with that kind of a purpose that is there. But all those things he has to do it knowing very well that this is supposed to be a dream, this is supposed to be an illusion. It's as illusion as a dream. It's so important to see. It's so real. It's something which is very extraordinary to see that. Take this to be real. Know very well that this is something. Reality is something beyond that. That's why when the child is playing with the doll, for the child, the doll is something which is very real, absolutely real. There is life in that. There is every activity that's going on in that. The child is tired. The child puts the baby into sleep, and while sleeping, the baby will be telling the bedtime stories and all those things. And then mother at that time comes and shouts at this child, "Enough is enough. Leave all those things in the box and then come for dinner." Shh, don't shout. I'm coming. Because for that child, that little one is living, is very much real. So therefore, taking this as a real that we try to understand, we try to work with that. But at the same time, fully well that we are aware of the idea that this is also the part of the illusion, part of the dream. So this is the way that we look into this particular world. And these are the wise people and full of surprises. And this world, the important thing is full of surprises. Surprises in the sense that every moment, whatever that happens, the next moment that happens, we really do not know. Only thing is we imagine. We hope that something like this happens, something like that happens. Many times it doesn't happen according to our hope. Particularly we have seen this COVID. This period of time, COVID when has come, who expected the world will turn into like this? Absolutely, totally different kind of view, perception that we have. Extraordinary. And this is how basically the creation is all about. And he says that this is also a dream because basically there is a vast reality that's there beyond this. We know very well that here our life is only 70, 80, 100 years, not more than that. And before me, millions and zillions of people have come and lived on that. Every place that you put your foot on the ground, below that ground, at least about thousands of people, their graves are there buried under the ground. And then all those things are merged into the soil, and that soil became together. This has been there for all the time, for millions of years. So therefore, basically, that all these things are there for billions of years, millions of years. Only thing is that, but then it also dies one day. When this millions of years it is there, out of which you are here only for 40, 50, 60 years, and then that is something which is very big. Is it not something like absolutely like a small little dust on the face of earth? Our existence itself is like a small little dust, but we have got so much of importance to it. It's not because of this bodily existence that we are giving importance to this, but we are giving importance to this because we are the consciousness. And we are that mind from which all these things have come, including my mind. So therefore, it is to really reconnect ourselves with that cosmic order, cosmic activity. That's why this whole journey becomes very important. So having said that, that Gadyupakyanam, the story of Gadi, Swasta, Swapachattvadi, Swapachattvadi Darshanam. That means to say, Swasta, the being in the oneself, himself, and the one who is actually the downcast, absolutely downcast, degraded. And then that means to say that he eats along with the dog. One simple idea is that he doesn't see that there is something like better way of living. It just becomes that way. That means he doesn't use any intellect at all. So these are the two different levels are there, and then you hover between these two. You are fortunate that you are a human being in the first place. You are fortunate that you are in the group that where this discussion is going on. Even though it is like a dream, even though it is like an illusion, but in this illusion, you look for this. Once it so happened, there was in Ramakrishna Paramahansa's time, somebody was actually picking food from the dustbin and eating the food there and all that. And then Swamiji looks, Ramakrishna Paramahansa looks at him, and then he was in ecstasy. And he says, Divine Mother, make me Avadhuta, make me Brahmagyani, make me Paramahamsa. But not like him, because that person is also a Paramahamsa. Therefore, his highest achievement is there, but then for him, the eating that kind of food, or eating the food in the palace, there is no difference between that. It's a true Paramahamsa. It's a true 100% kind of a state that is there. And this can happen. Brahman itself has become the Swasta, and Brahman itself becomes Swapachatva. That means somebody who eats that kind of food. Brahman itself became human being, Brahman itself became the dog. So all these things becoming is like an illusion. It's temporarily that it became and then withdraws when it goes back. So this is a cycle that's going on. Vasistha Vacha Jaganmaya Prapekshtatva Vaichitya Pratipattate Itihasa Memam Vakshe Shnushva Ivate Anagha. Hey Rama, Anagha, that means sinless. For the perception of the variety, the strangers are displaying the worldly illusion. The worldly illusion that is there, I shall read this legend, sinless one, hear attentively. So, Jaganmaya Prapanchasya, that means to say, the whole Jagat is a Maya, Prapanchasya, Vaichitra Pratipattaye, and variety, strangeness that is there, that is the suspicion that is suspense that is there, or the display of worldly illusion. I shall relate this legend, Itihasa Mimam Vakshe. This Itihasa, that means whatever that happened in the form of history, I am going to tell you, Shunushva the Anagha. I am going to tell you this. Now, another very important aspect about knowing these things fully well, but yet living in this world the way that the order of the world is maintained, very important for the people who are especially the role models, who are the leading powers, who lead this world, who lead the people in this world in the right direction. So Rama is necessary to know about this particular idea of Maya, and at the same time, just along with this Maya, he is somebody who is also knows that Brahman, that is established in Brahman, but then he guides in this Maya everybody in the right direction for the people who do not know about this Maya and the reality. These things are not there, so we have to put them in the right perspective. So for that reason that one must know about this Maya aspect of it. What is Maya? There is one way this Maya is talked about is the way that the way Sanskrit word it goes, Yama Sa Maya. That what does not say is not there, does not exist. What is not there does not exist. It looks very simple. Yeah, what is not there does not exist. In what way does it make any sense? What is important about that? Important about that is the objective world is there. All these objects are there. Trees are there. Mountains are there. Rivers are there. Everything is there. But then what does not exist is the way that we relate with that in the form of one relationship. Another individual is there, I am there, and I establish that we are related, and further it goes on that, further saying that I cannot exist without him, I cannot exist without that. So this way, basically, that we create another important aspect is the connection between these two. Objects are there. Imagine this world is there without a human being. Without a human being, this world is there. All the trees are there, plants are there, and the fruits are there. Animals are there. Everything is there in this world excepting the human being. Imagine that case. Then what happens? What we call it as a lion, it's an object. And what we call it as a deer is another object. And the lion has hunger and then goes and kills deer and eats. And deer is not a deer. The deer is only food. And the lion is not a lion, it's a hunger. Similarly, water is flowing. And then there is some animal is there, whatever it is there, and thirsty, and then the water is there, drinks. It doesn't know that it is water. Therefore, basically, water is something which quenches the thirst. It's not a water at all. Similarly, the animal that goes to drink the water is not an animal, it is thirst. When you look at this way, as Taittiriya Upanishad puts it, that whole creation is nothing but a duality in the form of hunger and the food. Annam, annadaha. These are the two ways. So eyes are there, perception is there, vision is there, and an object is there. That's all. A vision and object, they are there. No definition of object, no definition about vision. Nothing is there. Similarly, there is one thing called the danger, and then saving from the danger, life saving. So these are the two things that are interrelated. So this is what the whole world is. That means to say that the objects are there, situations are there, everything is there, but the relationship is something which human being has created. And that relationship is Maya. Yama, that what is not there, is what is called as Maya. Relationship is not connected, that is not there. Two individuals are there, and then they were there, but then suddenly that there was a marriage proposal, marriage happening. Now it becomes like a husband and wife. See, this husband and wife is created now. Then some time, for some reason, for some time, they go together, and afterwards they separate. Husband goes away, wife goes away, somewhere in other worlds. Earlier it used to be another world, but here, in this world itself. But then what happens? You do not take away from your mind. You still have all those problems that are associated with that. This relationship is something which does not exist. So therefore, basically, and another thing is the moment that the relationship is one aspect of it. Second, more important aspect of Maya is this aspect of it, that in the nature it is not at all there. The nature objects are there, things are there, that's all they are there. There is nothing like I am superior and you are inferior, is never there. I am this, I have got all these things. There is nothing like that. In the nature, there is nothing like superior and inferior. One is small, one is big. There is nothing like that. There is no comparison. But it is there in the human mind. So what does not exist is what is Maya. This aspect is Maya. An elephant who has never seen a rat suddenly saw a rat moving on the ground and then looked at very carefully. Wow, it's an object moving on the ground. It's an animal moving on the ground. So immediately he says to rat, oh my God, you are so small, you are so tiny, puny, and then you also exist. Wow. And he wonders at that. And that wonder, it is out of ego of the elephant, because of huge size, big size, says, wow, so small. You also can exist. You also do exist like that. But the rat has rat ego. Rat replies to elephant saying that, Auntie, auntie, I'm always not like this, only now my health is not all right, that's why I lost weight. He wants to protect his ego. This ego we try to protect. So this is another thing which is not there. Never it is there. It doesn't exist at all. But we created this kind of a thing. Ah, what an unfortunate thing it is. So basically these are the things which are Maya. So now Vasishtha Vacha, Jagan Maya, then Kausaleshu Dvijaha, now Vasishtha is telling, Kausaleshu Dvijaha, Kaschid Guni Gaadhi iti Shrutaha, आकंठम अंबु निर्मग्नः तपश्चक्रे ततो हरिः आगत्येचे द्विजोत्तिष्ठ गृहाणाभि matam varam. There is a certain Brahmana in the Kosala country, Kosala Desha, and who was virtuous and known as Gaadi. He did various religious austerities immersed in water upon the neck, up to the neck. Then Hari, the Vishnu, come to him and said that, O Brahmana, give up all this tapas and then receive the desired boon. Normally, this is how the stories are, where from the ancient times, it seems now that no Hari comes to ask our condition, but then those days, naturally, a Brahmana is supposed to be a very religious person, and also, Brahmana is highly educated, highly learned scholar. And then he did also the tapas for such a long time that he did the tapas. And that too, such sincere, serious tapas, like sitting in the water up to the neck deep and then doing tapas. All those things, when he did it in Kausala Desha. And Hari comes in front of him, Vishnu comes in front of him. Agatyeke dvijottamaha Jyotishtha Uttishta Dvija, hey Dvija, come on, get up, and Gruhanam Abhimatam Varam. I'm going to give you whatever that vara that you're asking for. Brahmana, get up and receive the desired boon. Then Gadir Vacha, Gadi said, Tvaya Društva Imam Mayam Bhagavan Paramatmikim Drashtumichami Samsara Namni Ascharya Karini. So, Tvaya Srishtam Imam Mayam. You have created such an extraordinary, wonderful Maya. Imam Mayam. All these things that you have created, Hey Bhagavan, Paramatmaki. That means basically that one with the Supreme Spirit. Dushtamichami Samsara Namni Ascharya Karini. So, which is called as worldly existence and which causes wonder, which is wonder. I desire to see the illusory power of this Supreme Spirit. What is this sense of wonder? Ascharya Karini. This is what I was saying, that this world is full of Ascharya. Ascharya means basically wonder, sense of wonder. When we say wonder, it does not mean that it is violating some laws. It's happening without any logic or anything. But the idea of wonder is that surprised way the things happen. That means you cannot even expect any. You give some calm chalavu reason, but otherwise does not. Suddenly, a young boy, he has finished his extraordinary, wonderful laurels that he finished 4 medical degree years and all that, and then last exam is there, and with that exam, that is definite that he is going to be a gold medalist medical candidate, and then everything was set. And then he was supposed to go for exam, but then rather than going for the exam, he was just saying that, I have headache, so let me rest for a while. And then after a while, that headache seemed to have increased. And then time is going up because he has to go for the exam. Mother is pushing him and father is scolding him. What is this? At this moment, you are sitting and holding your head and headache. But then after a while, the way that he was sweating and all those things, they were really alarmed. It's not an ordinary headache. And immediately they rushed him to the medical doctor, and the medical doctor said we should immediately take him to Nimans because that's where the neurological center is there, and then they diagnosed. And then they rushed him to the Nimans, and by the time he reached Nimans, Nimans said that he is dead because he had brain hemorrhage, everything is stopped. So it looks like that the things happen, and it's like a shocking, absolutely shocking. Actually, parents are so devastated, so devastated. But then what happened? They recovered, and then they became extraordinary later on, the parents. So all these things are there, which can really give an idea that the creation is with surprises. Ashcharyakarini. Imam Drakshasi Mayam Mayam Tvam Ityuktva Antardadhe Harihi. So Hari said, okay, I'm going to give you this, so you take this, and then Mayam Tvam, you will see this illusory power, this Maya, and thus having seen that, Hari, he went back to the Vaikuntha, that he disappeared. He is not there. That's left. Now Hari left. Gaadi is the great Brahmana, extraordinary, wonderful Brahmana. Idea of Brahmana is that in Brahmana is also very superior kind of a person, that means knowledgeable, etiquette-wise and then culture-wise, everything is supposed to be somebody who is the crown in the society. That is the kind of thing. And Swanartham Ekada Gadhihi Mama Jantarjalam Mamajja Antarjalam Taya Apashyan Mritamatmanam Swagruhe Bandhavish Vritam. Once Gadhi, Vishnu went away, then Gadhi went to the water for the purpose of taking an ablution, taking a bath, dipping into the water. Then he saw himself, the moment that he dipped into the water, suddenly then he saw himself to be dead in the house surrounded by kinsmen. All that he remembers is he dipped into the water, and that's all. He ended, finished. And the next thing that he could see, realize, is that he was there in the bed, on the bed in the house, and then he died. Only thing is that the corpse is there, and he is watching that corpse. He is only observing that. The dead body is there, people are crying, sitting around that dead body. What suddenly happened to him? Why did he die? In his house. So, naturally, it must have been a shock for everybody. It must have been unbearable for. They have got their own kinds of thoughts that are going on. Thereafter, the kinsmen, having carried the corpse to the cremation ground, tato nitva shmshanante chakrustham bhasmasat shivam shavam atha pashyadasau bhuyo hunagrama nivasini. Now what happens is that the body that they have taken, and then he is watching. He is watching that body. And then the body was taken by the people, and then they were crying, and then they did the whole cremation process as a Brahmana deserves, put it on the fire, and then lit the fire and all that, and then Kapala Moksha. The head is broken and all that, and then comes out, the life is escaped and all that. Then he saw himself again, and then he was watching all those things, and then time passed, elapsed into the darkness, and then by the time that again the day came, approach has come, this is again, as born as in the house of outcasts. Absolutely, totally rejected, outcast. Outcast are the people who he sees it. Tato nitva smashanam che chakrustam bhasmasat shavam athapashyat bhuyo hoonagrama nivasinam shapachanam gruhe jatam atmanam kantaya yatim. So, having become old, and then the house of outcasts dwelling in the village of the Hunas. Hunas are the people who are man eaters, are the people who kill people. So barbarians and endowed with and then he had a wife. So Kantaya Yutam. So he was with Kanta, he was on that. See, the beauty of this particular Gaadi is that he was a Brahmana and suddenly he became a Shudra, absolutely Chandala. And all that samskara that was there, and now here he came 100% like a Chandala that he was there. 100% like Chandala's life he lived, and he had a wife there. Like the way that you may be a great king in the world outside, nice person and all that, but suddenly in the dream that you become a thief, you become somebody who has cheated somebody, and then you are running away for your life because somebody is chasing you. All these things are happening. You can't question it. And then you become that 100%. You can't say, I know I don't want to become like that. It's not your choice. It's not your choice. It just happens. Indian philosophy tries to give some explanation or the other in the form of, the karmic effect and all that you are born. These are all speculation. They're all expectation. They're all explanation that they are given. But do you remember that you were somebody different when you are whatever different that you are? No, you become one with that. Like whatever you are in this life, you are 100% in this life, that's all. This becomes a complete reality. Though this is supposed to be a dream world compared to what you were earlier, what may be the way that was there. Even that was also a dream world. But in spite of it, all these things are changing. But you know very well that you become one with this in this world. So the same way he also became a great Brahmana, suddenly became a Chandala, and then Chandala had his wife and all those things. Tato Jatartam Jatam Bhrityuna Hruta Bandhavan. Then he himself, having become old and with his relationship taken away too, one he has become old and he died, and his relationship taken him away by death. Tataha Shokapiditatma Nijam Dehe Vihayasa Nagaram Pratakiraya Kiranam Rajamarge Stitaha Tata. Thereafter, with his mind encompassed by the grief, having left his country and reached the city of Kira, and that's supposed to be the Kashmir place, he stood with the royal on the royal highway, whatever that he was there as an outcast completely, became old. And all that, he did not die, sorry, but then he was old and then he came out and then he just went on the street in the place called Kira, having left his country and he reached the city of Kira, the country of Kashmir, and then he stood on the royal highway. It's a very interesting episode that comes. You know, those days, when the king becomes old and then his next who occupies the throne, or maybe that he had no children, so therefore it does not go to anybody, so therefore they have to have some method by which the divine is going to select it. It's not somebody claims, or it is not the people that who select or something like that, but the divine has to select. So maybe even the sun is there in spite of it. The divine forces are the one that is the select. And what is the divine force that they thought of or they designed is that they give a garland to an elephant. An elephant goes around and then whoever that elephant garlands and that fellow becomes the king. So the elephant does not have any idea that who is rich and who is poor, who is educated, who is uneducated, who has all the ability to fight and all those things. None of these things are there for the elephant. Elephant does it. How does it do it? A complex brain that is there in the elephant is the one which is directly connected with the divinity. So therefore, it is the divinity which is trying to make it. And elephant is chosen because basically elephant is trained. Elephant generally is very good with the human being, very gentle, and then also that very impartial kind of a thing. So that's how. Tato jatartam vyatam vichina, the bandhavan. Tatah shokapiritatma nijam deham vihayasa nagaram praya kiranam rajamarge stitah tatha. He was there standing in the Rajamarga. Mrute rajani rajartham viharantam vitastatah hastinam cha dadarshata करेणादाय चे तम गजः स्कंदेन्य अवशेषात् मोदात् नेदुः दुन्दुभि यस्तता एवं गवल नाम रास्लौ कीरराजो बभूवः. Then he saw an elephant going about here and there for the sake of finding a king with a garland in the hand. The elephant is in the trunk going there. When the king of the country was dead, the country's king died, therefore the elephant was given the charge of finding out the king. Therefore, that elephant, having taken hold of him with his trunk, then he put the garland, picked him up with the trunk, and then made him to sit on top of it, seated him on its body with delight. Then all the drums and everything started blowing, and then he verily became the king of the Giza, by name Gavana. See, look at the changes that are happening. At one point of time, he was a great scholar, Panditaha, and very, very highly disciplined person, doing Sandhyavandana, doing activities and all those things on a regular basis. He was doing that. With all those things, suddenly when he died, he became a Chandala. A Chandala is a state where absolutely there are no question of any rituals or anything with that. No faith in God, just living like barbarians. And from that, when he suddenly became old, and from the old, absolutely no riches, and suddenly he became a king because the elephant chose him. Elephant chose him, then he became a king, but then there is no logic behind it. Why the elephant chose him? There is no logic. So this is why it is called as the surprise. That's why it is called as Ashcharya. So this is something which is extraordinary, the way life changes like that. Tatha shoka pidit mrite rajani rajartham viharantam itastatah hastinam न ददर्शार्थ करेणादायतम गजः स्कंदे न्यवशेषेत मोदात् नेन्दु दुन्दुभि भयस्तका एवं गवलनाम नास्तौ कीरराजो बभूवः. अष्टो वर्षाणि राज्यञ्च चकारः मन्त्रिपूजितः. So for 8 years he was a king, and all the mantris, all the ministers, that they were really respecting him and all that. And he was a royal king, chosen by the elephant, and nobody put the doubt on him, because all that happened right in front of their eyes. Yadurchayai kada tamtu nirgatam tyakta bhushitam alakshya shvapachaha kaschit प्रोचेच चिरबांधवः दर्शनेने तवाध्याहम param nivritimagatam. What happens once another friend of him, a friend of him which is a certain outcast, who knows him, and there also he is also a Chandala, absolutely no moral and all that, but he knows this person because they were all from the same, probably the camp that they were there. beheld him by chance, by just suddenly by chance. Again, this is also not by any particular reason or rhyme or anything. Then by chance, that suddenly it appeared, and then come out with his ornaments abandoned, addressed him old, and when he saw him, the king immediately recognized that he is his friend, and then took out all that his kirita, the diadem that was there, and all the other things which basically with all those things that person cannot recognize him, so he take out all those things, and then darshanena chirabandhava darshanena tavadyaham param nivrittim agataha. Then I have attained the greater satisfaction. Oh, having been a king, he was missing that whole earlier memories of the Chandala life. Chandala is its own life, Chandala is his own life and his own charm that is there. He was missing that. Like many people after the huge big breakfast, so huge big dinner, a buffet, all kinds of things are there. They finish all those things and then come back home. And then eat a little curd rice and say that this is something which we are missing. So you come back to your thing, whatever that is missing, however simple it is. The same thing happened. Oh my God, today I met you, I felt so excited because I've been missing this all these years. I'm missing this company all these years. Then he said that darshanena tavadyaham aham tavat darshanena param nivritti magataha. I'm satisfied beyond all the doubts by your very sight itself. That's what it is. Then having heard this, Srutvedam mantrinaha sarve. Now the ministers heard about it, and the women who were at the windows were distressed and Bhataya nagata striyaha agataha sritaha shapacho ayam mahipalaha itinishitya dukkhitaha. Then they said, oh my God, I mean, any other person is okay, any ordinary person is okay, but this person is supposed to be a Chandala. This person is supposed to be totally outcast, low caste. And then we were bowing in front of him, we were offering our respects for him. Having heard this, all the ministers and the women who were at the windows were distressed, having concluded, this king is who we think king. He is an outcast. Tathaha prabhuti nas sprakshuhu स्थितम त्वम शवम यथा अथ सर्वे वयम दीर्घकालम शपाच दूषिताः प्रायश्चित्तेन शुद्धामः प्रविशामो हुताशनम इति निर्णीय सर्वे सर्वे अग्निविविशुः सह बान्धुभिः. So therefore, thereafterwards, thenceforward, they did not touch him, they kept him away because he is untouchable. So and the living king, as if he was though living as a king, but then he was like a corpse because nobody was coming close to him, nobody was really respecting, and nobody was cared for him. So therefore, he was like a corpse. And not only that, all of them decided that we have been defiled ourselves, we have really destroyed ourselves for a long time by this outcast. We have been serving this outcast, working with this outcast, touching him, eating with him. We shall not become pure by any act, whatever that can happen. Any act of purification cannot purify. So therefore, they all decide, let's enter into the fire. The idea of outcast and then the society is so strong those days that an outcast cannot be accepted. So therefore, but he was there as a king and then we went with him. They could not excuse themselves and they could not see that there is any way that they could purify themselves. Nothing can really work with that. Only thing that they can think is the purifier is the fire. So therefore, they thought, let us enter into the fire so that we purify ourselves with that. Iti ninnita sarve agnihi vivishuhu saha bandhuvihi. All of them, along with their relatives and everybody, they started entering into the fire. But then Raja matva madartham hi deshe anarthe ayamagataha. Oh my God, all these things are happening. The king thought that it's all happened in these on account of me. It is because of me these things are happening. And that is this calamity has occurred in this country. Iti vahno anudvegam ajuhava nijam vapu. Now, having thought this way, that it is because of me that everybody is giving life, giving up their life, everybody is entering into the fire. What a calamity that's happening into this kingdom. Such a wonderful kingdom that was there, and because now I have come, and because of me, for 8 long years also it was wonderful, but now suddenly, because of one reason that I become Chandala, I belong to Chandala, this is what is happening. So therefore he thought that rather than them dying, let me offer myself to the fire. Let me subject myself to the fire. So he enters into the fire. He dies himself. अत्र अंतरे अनलक्षुब्धो गाधी मोहात् अबुध्यय कोहम किमिदं पश्यामि किमाकर्षम अहम किल एवं विचारयाश्चित्रम उदास्यात् उदकंतरात्. In the meanwhile, Gaadi, disturbed by the fire, so Gaadi entered into the fire when all these things happened. Having entered into the fire, suddenly the thought of fire entering into the fire, as I said many times, that the fear is there in the dream, but then the reaction will be there in the world outside, that you start sweating in the world outside. Its reaction will be there in the body. Same thing happened to Gaadi, that he entered into the fire. The idea of entering into the fire had disturbed so much. He woke up from his delusion, and then he started looking at, what am I? What possible did I see? Why all these things I have seen? What indeed did I do? What is that I have done? For this, thus thinking variously, he got up from under the water. Actually, he went into the water and then got up. That's all. He might have held the breath for 1 minute and then he got up. Before that, by the time that he entered into the water and then got up for purification purposes, and within that time, all these things happened. The whole thing happened. In fact, we have also similar story between Rama and Krishna and Arjuna. Ego of Arjuna, actually, that he was following, he was carried by Krishna, was something which really entered his head, and naturally he wanted to get. Krishna realized that and he wanted to see that he drops it. Very similar story. He says to Arjuna, I'm feeling thirsty. They were walking in the forest, and Krishna says, Arjuna, I'm feeling thirsty. I can't even walk. Let me sit down here. And then I see that the water is there on this side. So go and find out water and then get me some water immediately. Oh, Arjuna is very devoted to Krishna, and then he rushed to the river and then he entered into the river to pick up the water. He picked up the water also, but suddenly he saw a young girl from the tribal nearby. Rather than coming the place normally where she would get down, because the king is there, Arjuna is there, therefore she got down into the river from a different place. But then that was slippery. In the process, that she slipped into the water. It is because of me that she slipped into the water. Arjuna goes there, saves her, but by the time that she also had some water, drunk, she stomach was with water, and then he actually presses that and the whole thing comes out. But in the process, she fell sick. She could not even walk. He has to take her to her own hut, and because she was sick, he nursed her whole night. And then a couple of 3-4 days he stayed because he felt responsible. She's all alone. In the process, he fell in love with her. That's a couple of 3-4 children, and then they were chasing Arjuna, running away from the whole sound noise of those children. He came, lie down on a stone that was there in the forest. Suddenly, we woke up with a tap of somebody on the back, turned around, he saw Krishna. Krishna saying, where is my water? That means all that dream that happened in Arjuna's life was there between this small little moment. And that is what the world is all. What we think about 80, 100 years is like a small little moment. And how it iti matva sthite tasmin. And so, shutve tu mantirnam sarve matar. So, in the meanwhile, Gathi, disturbed by the fire, woke up from his dream. And who am I? What possibly did I do? What happened? Mithya drishtasya satyata, the reality of what was seen fantasy. What is that fantasy that he has seen? The reality of it. Cheto brahmatyanat antasu भ्रांति दृष्टि सुदेशिनाम इति मत्वा स्थिते तस्मिन् जगाम प्रियोतिथि क्रमात् शयन भासात्य गाधिम प्रपच्यतम द्विजम. The mind of the embodied ones, the living being, wandered about in endless delusive perception. The notions, thus having reflected when he stood there, a welcome dear guest arrived, gradually seating him on the couch. Gaadi asked the Brahmanas as follows: Kim Brahman Sankursas Angastvam Kimiti Samavanasi. Hey Brahmana, why are you weak bodied? Why indeed are you weary? Athitirvacha Kireshu Nyavasam Mamsam Tatraisha iti Katha Shrunu Shutva. I lived in the land of Kira for a month, and there the story was heard. So, talked about this whole story that he heard. Our minds wander in endless kind of a delusion, perceptions and the notions, and thus, having reflected when he stood there, a guest arrived. So, itimatva sthite tasmin ajagama priyo atitihi. So, atithi, priyo atitihi, somebody who friend landed. Gradually seeing him on the couch, Gaadi asked him, that Brahmana, as follows. Gaadi is once again only a witness that is there. He asked him, Excellent Brahmana, here is an outcast. Was a king for 8 years, and then he says this, Iha bhuta shapache rajaha varshashtasho dvijottama sayevante parignyate prabhushto jwalanam javan tad dvija jnatani niha pravisthani huta shanam. The excellent Brahmana, here the outcast was the king for 8 years. He was just found out, recognized the end, and entered into the fire in haste. So also 200 Brahmanas entered into the fire, all the Brahmanas. Iti shutva tato gatva prayaschitta vitaya cha krama chandrayani asyante parayanartham ihagate. Shrantoham upavasena nanyadastihi karanam. Thus, having heard that, and then departed and having performed expiation of the sin in the proper manner, I have come here for the conclusion of the fast at the end of Chandrayana. Wow, I am weary with fasting. Surely there is no other reason for my. This Brahmana, after having come back from that particular place, then because of him that so many people have ended their life and all that happened. Therefore, he himself did a penance, a prayaschitta, for sake of the good of those people, prayed for them. He did all the rituals. At the same time, as a part of the penance, he also did the fasting for so many days, and penance involving fasting regularly by the moon waxing and waning. Iti tene idam shutva vismaya avishtamanasaha gadhischa chintayamasa madva madrustanto drushaha. Thus, having heard what was told by him, Gaadhi, with his mind overcame by wonder, thought, this, my history is such. It's his own history, his own going. And then Brahmana told him And that's how the whole thing is revealed. Having thus gone out, he अथ निर्गत्य तद्दृष्टं हूणमण्डलमागतः ततदृष्ट्वा यथा पूर्वं निजं श्वपचमन्दिरं कीरमण्डलमासाद्य स्वानुभूतानि दृष्टवान्. Thus having gone out, he came to see the region of the Hunas. There, having seen his own house in the outcast as before, and having reached the territory of Kiras, he saw the things experienced by him. The same experience he had, all those things he saw. Vismayot, Vismayokta, Vismayot Shiraha, Dhatu Shreshtham Paran Mrishan, Bhuyo Gadihi Tapashagre, Tivra Shailasya Kandare, Agatya Cha Tapapritah Uche, Chakragadadharaha. With his head trembling with astonishment and reflection on the deeds of God Vishnu, Gaadi again performed the penance intensely in the cave of a mountain, and the bearer of the discus sand, that's what is Lord Vishnu, satisfied with the penance of Gaadi, and have come near him and spoke, Vamamaya tvaya drushta kimanyat abhivanchasi Gadirvacha tasya marmana janami brahmaha santyo bhavan katham. My illusion has been seen by you. What else do you with for? Gaadi said, this is what Vishnu asked. You have seen the whole illusion. It's all the Maya that you could create. And now Gaadi said, I do not comprehend the secret. How did this delusion come really? How this whole thing happened? This is what is our interest also, that we want to see that how these things do happen. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Blessed Lord said, Chittastham hi pradak vyadhi nabahistha kadachana swapna brahma padartheshu sarvarevanu bhuyate. The earth and the like, the whole physical elements are only in the mind and never at any time existed separately. They are experienced just by everybody in the delusion objects of a dream. Now let me tell you exactly what is the idea that he talks about is that, as I said, that there is a mind stuff that is there from which this whole creation has taken place, and we have taken that mind for us, the part of that mind for us, like the way that the sun has the light, he is the adhipati of light, and then we have that light in the form of our seeing process. Similarly, the Vayu that is there in the world outside, and that's what we have taken in the form of prana within us. Like that, this mind is something, mind stuff that existed in the nature, in the whole creation that is there, Brahman that is there. And from that, we have borrowed the mind. So therefore, the way that outside the whole creation has taken place, various elements, the same thing, our mind can create all those elements within us. Exactly like the way the world outside is there, and then our mind can create. And mind can create because mind has the impressions of these things in the world outside. We have gathered the impressions from the world outside and then we create that. This is the secret of the mind, is that we have gathered the impressions from the world outside. Whatever the impressions we gathered from the world outside, the same impression that we create inside. Chittasya hi prithivyadhicha bahistam. This is what bahistam kadachana swapna brahma padartheshu sarvarevanubhuyate. The earth and the like, this is the quote today that is here. Chittastham hi prithivyadi na bahistham kadachana. There is nothing coming from anywhere else. It's all coming from the mind stuff. Chittastham is basically the mind stuff. If the mind stuff which created the world outside, the mind stuff creates the world inside. Swapna brahmad padartheshu sarvarevanubhuyate. Like the way that whatever that is swapna brahma that we have within us, the delusion of the object of the dream. The same way the outside is also, just they are there. Objects are there, but the relationship is what is that delusion. Antananta jagadjalam, yatra ananta jagadjalam samstitam tena chetasa darshitam swapachatvam chet tadapya vismaya kuta. If that by that mind, where the endless illusion of the world is situated, the state of the outcast has been displayed, then whence is the astonishment of this matter? So, darshitam shopachatvam chet tadatra vismaya kutaha yatha swapacheta drishta pratibha savashat tvaya tathaivaati atithi mayam drishtvan api sambhrame. And the state of being an outcast was pursued by you through the influence of illusion. So also you have seen the guest who has arrived in this delusion. Every activity is a delusion from the higher perspective. Every activity is real in that particular place. That's what I said to start with. In the dream, whatever the object that we see, whatever the impression that we have, they're very real in that plane. It becomes only a dream when you come out of it. Same way that this world is real while you are in this world, perception, but in a true sense that they are the illusion, they are the maya when you go beyond that. And then going beyond that is something which is very certain for us. That's what we do. Yatha hunastham prapya drishtosi praktanah gruham tatha karishe rajatvam drishtavan pratibimbatam. Thus, you have seen the former residents having reached the place of the Hunas. So have you seen the kingship of the Giras reflected in the mind of the caste of the. So all these states that you have seen, you have gone through that. Kvachit pratimaikaiva bahunam api jayate tenaisham sanniveshena shvapachopyat bhavate puraha. At some time or the other, the one light of consciousness alone is born as that of the many. Only by this deep entrance and proximity, the outcast also became into existence formerly. Nakira nupatihi bhutva praviveshadalah tata tava bhuta kevalam chitte swasambandhitayahi tata. Having become the king of the Kira, he then entered into the fire, and then indeed happened solely in your mind due to self-relatedness. It's all happened within your mind, and it's all in your mind itself that dejection has come and then you entered into the fire. All those things happen within the mind. The mind is capable of doing all those kind of things. This is what is the Maya illusion. Jnanasya paripurnatvat nashaknopi manobhramam vinivarayitum tenai kramyate kshana. Due to the lack of fullness of knowledge, jnanasya aparipurnatvat, that means lack of fullness of jnana, you are not able to ward off the mental delusion. We cannot take out the mental delusion. On account of that, you overcome by the moment by this very delusion. Tapakuru tamuthatma tato jnanam avapsyasi ityuktam tyakta sankalpaha gadihi tatra karot tapaha atmachintana rupam cha mano brahma nivruttayah dashavarshani te naso atmajnanam avapsyavat jivan mukta padam praptam vitashoko babhuvacha. Having risen, you perform penance for spiritual enlightenment, then you will gain knowledge. Thus told Gaadi, with his wishes of imaginations given up, with penance there for 10 years in the form of reflection of the self, for the cessation of mental delusion. By that penance, he obtained knowledge of the self and attained to the state of liberation while living. He became free from sorrow. The underground principle is that free from sorrow. At every level, you see that whenever these changes are occurring, Basically, it was because that there were sorrow, there was something that was really disturbing, and that's what made him to come out of it. If and all these disturbances, as I said, that the dream may be dream, but then experience is yours. Experience is yours. The fear is there, and the depression is there, and all those things belong to you. And in order to overcome that, we need to do the sadhana, we need to do the tapas. Tapas importance is that. That means being in touch with your own self, free from any of these imagination that images that you create. That's what our people said. What is basically the idea of karma? Karmic effect in the dream. The dream is also whatever that we suppressed, all those things get depression. Whatever that is there in the mind is the one which causes the rebirth, which it takes us towards this delusion, maya. Like the way that every time you enter into the different dreams, the same way that in the life also, life after life that we enter into, as long as that we have these suppressed emotions within us, only way that we can overcome that suppressed emotions is by doing the sadhana tapas. So that's the reason why idea of yoga, idea of tapas, idea of contemplation, remove the mental modification that are there, keep the mind pure and clean. That's what is very important. एवं एषाति एषा अतिविदिता and दुर्ज्ञाना रघुनंदन परमात्मा तथा परमात्माश्वया माया महामोहकारी सता चित्ताक्रमय मात्रासु परमात् औषधं कृते प्रयत्नेनापि संसारम् आहारोह गुण शम्यति. He Raghunandana, O Rama, thus in this incomprehensible illusion, depending upon the Supreme Self, spread out exceedingly, causing great delusion. Always the great distance, a great disease of worldly existence is indeed not extinguished by, even by continued effort, without the most excellent medicine of the mere overcoming the mind. Vartamanam kramayatam bhajat बाह्यादिकं क्षणित अजामग्रम भविभूतं च या चित्तम achittatam. This is the final word, beautiful word. He says that the acceptance of being in the present all the time. And this moment, the present is something which is extraordinary moment, and all other things is outside this, and intellect with the externalized intellect and not accepting the failures of the past, and the mind is reduced to the state of free from thoughts. This is what Patanjali also says, that you go from thinking to, you go from ideas of vitarka to vichara, and vichara, that means thought to thinking, and from thinking to the silence, mind becomes pure, and that pure mind is what is called as kevala. So this journey is the journey of Gaadi. This journey is the journey of coming out of all illusions. Today what we think that they are bondages, what others expressed in the form of our vasanas, samskaras and all that, Gaadi gives all those things as maya, illusion. Just the word that we should take. So continue with the next episode, next time, the next week. Thank you so much. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.